Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Simply Together show. We've got, are we hosts? Because we're not hosting anybody.
No, we're just yeah.
We're hosting ourselves.
We're hosting ourselves. So, hi, everybody. I'm Cecile. Who else have we got here today?
Hi, it's Nikki here.
Hello.
And then lovely Shelley.
I'm producing and typing and everything all at the same time.
Sorry, producing and typing. We need to remember that, Nikki. So she's busy.
That's okay. All right. Okay, I can share now. It's got Simply Deezevents live. I'm always too impatient, and then I try to share, and then I'll come on live, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm live. I can't share anymore.
So we're here today. We're doing a special show remembering Queen Elizabeth II. Yes, everybody else has done them. Yes, it's on every single channel, but we actually thought that we wanted to do something as well, and to talk about her life and whether there's been influences for ourselves or whether so whether you're a royalist, whether you're not a royalist, just bring it on. Send your questions in, send your comments in, and we will read them all out. So where do you want to start with, Shell? Are we going to look at?
Well, one of the things I was then thinking of, us as a group. I was going to say group of ladies, but we're not all just ladies. We've got men too in our little crew. That we've got a unique set of backgrounds, ages, and it's what was you brought up understanding about the royal family? Was you so whether you're a royalist or not, but it's stuff that's actually then come through from your childhood, and it, depending on your background, how you feel about the royal family. But I've been talking to people that not necessarily not unlike them, but they're not real sort of royalists or anything, but they're finding that they are actually affected by the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. And they're surprised by that. Now, is that partly because of the whole thing of we've come through COVID, there's lots of people that have died, you're now suddenly thinking about your own thoughts and feelings about someone that you've lost? Or is it someone that's always been there as you've grown up? There's this person that lives in a palace that's always there. Do you class them as part of your family? So it'd be interesting to see how other people think. And the Queen has come into Luton quite a few times, and other members of the royal family, but have you actually met any of them? Where did you go out, like as part of your school, because there was something that was then opening or anything else? She has come into like Luton quite a few times. The bits that I got off the Luton news, I mean, the one thing that I do remember from my mum, because my mum, being of the older generation, she would remember the Queen as a princess. So as the kids nowadays thinking about, what Catherine's like, or going back that little bit further and what Princess Diana was like, my mum had the Queen and Margaret. Did they had friends? It's like, if you remember Luton, who was Lady Zero?
Yeah.
How many times did we have to go around Lady Zero wearing us bits and pieces and seeing all those bits? The Queen actually visited because he was friends with whoever owned it. I don't know who the Zia Werners were. I can't remember that far back from them school visits.
It's not a history show.
No, but she used to come and stay at Luton Hoo quite often. And people,
my next door neighbour told me that they used to come, her and the Duke, because that was at the time of their wedding anniversary, and they used to come quite often, as in like every year. They also used to come a lot into what's that? Box? Not is it Box? Not Vauxhall. The other one, Electrolux.
Okay.
They've gone into Vauxhall. They've gone into Electrolux. They opened up the central like the library that we now know in Luton. They opened up that. They a bit later on, she's been in and opened up like the new bit of Luton Airport and the Parkway station, and that was opened.
Oh wow.
And then I think the most recent one, I think it was 2017, was they were actually did more Dunstable rather than Luton, so they did the elephant thing. You've seen any? If you go, they named an elephant after Queen Elizabeth. She was opening up the elephant sanctuary because a baby had just been born.
Oh, was that in Whipsnade?
Oh, at the zoo.
Yeah, at the zoo. So they found it hilarious, the pair of them. So Elizabeth and Philip were finding it absolutely hilarious that there was this elephant named after her.
Was it named Elizabeth or Lilibet?
No, Elizabeth.
Okay.
See, if you was to ask my mum about Lilibet, and you ask about like Harry and Meghan calling their baby Lilibet, she's not happy.
Oh, it's really lovely. Because growing up, when I was much younger, that is how I never referred to her as that, because my view of the Queen was more something out of a romance novel, to be honest. But people did say that the little ones, as they were little then, when I was little, that is what they called her, as Lilibet. And well, I was actually quite touched when I heard that Harry and Meghan were calling their daughter Lilibet, to be honest.
So was I.
I thought, because the other thing as well, with them being the royal family, much like celebrities, we only know, for me personally, my belief is that we only know what we think we know. And which is usually based around which media you read, how clever you are, or how discerning you are at reading between the lines, etc. So yeah, I thought that was quite cute, actually. I don't know that the Lilibet herself will think that way, she's grown up, but somebody.
I suppose it's a different generation, isn't it? So I can see where Shelley's mum is then coming from, of being of that older generation.
Yeah.
Whereas for myself, I thought that was really sweet. I thought it was lovely. But I can see why people wouldn't think it was lovely.
It's funny that you should mention, like Shelley's mum's age. So my friend, my bestie, her mum and her sister were both named after the princesses. So one was Elizabeth and one was Margaret. So my friend's mum was Margaret and her auntie was Elizabeth. And it's only now we were discussing, my friend was saying that she didn't actually realize that the Queen was not the Queen at that stage. You don't really take it on board because she's been ever present. But yeah, they weren't actually named. I didn't think about it. There was no social media. There was, and the age different. Yeah, obviously. So those timings, those births, etc., the news and knowing was actually much more efficient than you would probably give it credit for, considering that these people were born in Nigeria.
Yeah. We've got a couple of messages from Louise. So the first one is, I'm not a royalist, but there's no disputing that the Queen devoted her whole life to the country. Lou went on Saturday to London, and seeing the outpouring of grief for so many people was eye-opening. And I think that's really important, isn't it? Because actually there's a lot of people who are going there, been to London right from Thursday when they found out that she was really poorly. There's been people there every single day, and they are really emotional, and they're down there to show their respect, aren't they? And you can't take that away from people. You cannot take that away.
Absolutely not. People will feel how they feel. I mean, I remember I was sat here on my settee, faffing about, getting ready to go to Taekwondo, and the notification came through, and it said Queen Elizabeth, it used the full. I've not even seen that word Regina for ages, so I didn't even finish reading the word Regina, and I already knew it was bad news. I remember sitting there thinking, "Oh my God," and I probably sat there for a good 20 minutes just thinking. Well, I don't think I was thinking actually. I was just because, yeah, that was just how it was.
Yeah.
So I could just imagine. People are affected by things like that. I find it quite interesting. I find it very, very interesting.
And it's going to continue, isn't it? Right up until and including the day of her state funeral.
Yeah.
And maybe even after that as well. People who are in London or still coming into London after that are going to go down to Buckingham Palace and St James's and whatever and put some flowers down, because that's all that people can do. Yeah. That's all they can do. Unlike you and I, if it's somebody that we know or a relative that we know, we would go and talk to them. We physically can't do that. So people go down and they lay flowers, don't they? Mm. And luckily, some of them have even managed to speak to King Charles.
That's going to make me giggle.
King Charles. It's not easy to remember that. King Charles the what? Is he the third?
Third. King Charles the third.
King Charles the third. Blimey. Some people have been lucky to speak to him and Harry and William and...
Yeah, I was watching one this morning, actually, to be fair. That was one with Meghan. And apparently this video had gone viral, but yeah, whatever. I hadn't seen that side of it. But what it was, she was talking to a young girl, and she asked her, that girl had been waiting 2 days.
Mm.
And it was really sweet. And she was saying, "Oh my God." And she was saying that hopefully she'll get some rest now. And then she goes to her and says, "Oh, can I hug you?" And so they hugged. It was a really nice video, actually, to be fair. And then you could see Harry and I can't remember. There was one other person there. I'm not really sure what it was, who it was. But one thing I'm going to say, which is really kind of funny to me, because I looked up somewhere where it was yesterday, and I caught sight of King in all his military outfit. I'm like, oh my God, he looks really quite dashing. He should wear that all the time. Every time he's going out in public, that is definitely how he should dress.
Which version, though, it was? Yesterday,
he had live. So this is now.
Yes, but he has more than one.
Yeah, which version yesterday? Because he changed clothes at least 5 times yesterday.
Oh, really? I don't know. I just know that he
because
had
of where he was.
With all the bits and pieces down here, with the white cap and oh my God. So that was quite interesting.
With the different people that he was visiting yesterday and the different things he had to do, he had to wear something different each time to reflect that. So he was in his kilt and he was in his military uniform.
Yeah, this was more.
He was in his suit.
Yeah. Now forget the suit. You should forget that.
Yeah.
I think when Princess Anne has got her uniform on, I think she looks fabulous because she's a woman. I think that's why, I kind of look at her and I just think, actually, yes, all of them have got theirs on, but you've actually got yours on as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the things that I kind of had a chats about on Sunday, because my mum being really into the royal family, I kind of understand oddities about the royal family. Princess Anne, her children don't have to have a royal title if they don't want to.
Yeah.
Because Princess Anne, during her lifetime, wouldn't actually have been an heir at all. Even though she's the second baby, it would gone past her. Yeah. It goes Charles and then Andrew.
Yeah.
It's only been recently, in as much as William's children, when Catherine was pregnant, did they actually then say, no, it's whatever your firstborn child.
Yeah, they changed the law.
Will then be. Because someone then mentioned why, even though Harry and Meghan have stepped back from the royal family, that they don't want their children having prince or princess, they could, in theory, actually be prince or princess because they are direct line into the throne. Because at that stage, Harry being a male, his children are supposed to be prince and princess. So if you look at Andrew's children, they go by princess, but Anne's children don't go by prince and princess.
Yeah.
I thought that was her choice. I seem to recall that was her choice. Obviously, I missed
it was her choice, but it was not then imposed upon her to do that.
Yeah.
She could do it if she wanted to, but it wasn't imposed on her. Harry's going to have that kind of, you've got the choice not to, but you are a direct line into the throne.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way, a long distance now, because you've got the other kids involved. But it's, it could then be imposed that his children should, in theory, have.
Yeah, I was listening to a bit of history yesterday, and it was quite interesting. I just thought to myself, I didn't think about that. I thought, but anything that goes along that line could be a bit
As Louise just said, the way the media is.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw both. I just decided to go with the positive.
Yeah. They will pick and choose what part of a conversation, and you will never have the whole conversation quite often, because someone will say, oh, they're talking, and then start the video at that point, and you didn't get the very beginning part of the conversation. And that's one of the things that sticks in my mind with everything that we're seeing where the cortege goes past. Everyone's got a mobile phone. They're not taking it in themselves. They're videoing it and then sharing it and things. It just did look very, very strange, especially sort of like yesterday when it was a bit partly on Sunday as well. So where the Queen has been given back to state, if you like.
Yeah.
They've had her at home. They could grieve as a family at home, and now they've had to give that up. They've had to give her back.
Yeah.
So it's
she
the rest
literally,
of us.
Again, unlike us, so one of our parent dies, they then go to the local funeral home, and you can go anytime you want, all the way up to when they are then have their funeral.
Yeah.
They literally had that period of time, and now she belongs to the state, and she is going from one place to the next until she gets back down to London.
Yeah, but not being funny though. She's it is different, but she's royal, so that goes with the territory. But having said that, when my dad was buried, he had a line in state, and which I thought was really weird at the time, and it was quite massive. And then my auntie that has just died, 104 years old, she's going to have a line in state as well. Because I was going to my dad, so I'm not going to that. But yeah, so it's quite interesting when the way you put it there. And it's only now I'm just thinking about it, because initially I just thought to myself, well, when I was talking about it with somebody, like you said, that is the only way that the subjects, so to speak, could get to do their own little grieving nearby.
Yeah. And I think, in a way, if the Queen herself knew that she was ill, and that's the whole reason why they did Balmoral. Balmoral is not a state building.
Yeah,
it's not an official palace. It's her home. And for her to go away and do that in the way that she wanted to, I think is actually amazing to actually get to the age that she was, and to still have your own way in doing things. And there's always going to be that. There's going to be that kind of like, what time did she actually go? Because it was very, 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 very unusual that the palace would actually make a comment on what was a rumour. There was a rumour that she was ill. There was a rumour, hang on a minute, everyone's now suddenly going to Balmoral. We're seeing flights being booked and bits and pieces. What's kind of going on? And they actually then confirmed a rumour. And they never do that. They never do that.
I think it's a sign of the times, though, really, did they? Because no matter what, stuff, you know, technology, everything is advancing. And I think it would have been very, very poor not to confirm that rumor and then just to announce that she had died, especially when she'd been seen talking to Truss the days before.
I think, but like Shelley's saying, they didn't have to confirm that, because in the past they would, because they wouldn't do. They would wait until the person, and then they would put that out there. But like you're saying, the fact that the amount of cars and the flights to get, and then in the cars all rushing in, you then knew that something was happening. And also, when I turned on the TV, just, I don't know, 10 minutes before the statement came out, my first thought was there all these presenters are in black? They're all in black.
Yeah.
There's definitely something going on there. They're all in black. Yeah. So you kind of knew that something was going to be coming out. But yeah, working 2 days before you die.
Although we did have a conversation, and someone else had said this on Facebook, and it was exactly my thought as well. You know, when someone hangs on for something in particular, so she knew that was then changing, and it was imminent. So it's kind of like, I need to be to do this particular job. Yeah. But it's almost like she wanted to make sure she got the keys off of Boris.
You see, I look at it the other way around. I think to myself, well, she looked at Truss. I thought, nah, I don't want to be dealing with this one. It's time to go.
And now I'm going. Either way, you know.
Could you? It's. I mean, it's for Liz Truss being in the middle of everything and kind of like, whoa, how do I, like, new job? How does all this work? But her methodical way of actually speaking actually then helped the situation. You then didn't have Boris bumbling through a statement.
Oh God, could you imagine? When he's trying to say what has happened, he would be such an idiot. Anyway, and Louise has just put, and I thought this as well, and Harry was in the country. Harry was there already. It's because if he hadn't have been there, there would have been well, look, how long is it going to take him to get here? Well, it must be Meghan's fault that he's taking his time. You know, whatever would have happened would have been wrong. But he was actually here. So either
there's still people there. Somebody put something up yesterday, exactly what you're saying there, where there's a clip of Harry getting into the car. This person who's absolutely anti-Meghan, anti-Harry, he's just anti, and he should just go and anti of somewhere else as far as I'm concerned. Saying that, oh, it's a pity that Harry didn't get to see his grandmother before she died. So the person who stitched this comment said, well, none of us know what time she died.
Exactly.
So you don't know that. So you're putting this conjecture out there based on something you do not even know.
Yeah. Just because he was the last one in. I've personally, for me, I wouldn't be surprised if she'd already gone before William had gone in with Andrew and Edward and Sophie.
Yeah, because we just don't know. And it depends. You know, a lot was made of the fact that when she shook Truss's hand, the hand was black. And I remember speaking to my next door neighbour. I said to her, because I didn't see that live. You know, she saw that live. My husband saw it live. I didn't, because I steer away from the lot of them. And I said to her, but in that afternoon when we had all the BBC reports, I kept thinking that when she sees Charles and Andrew and Harry and the kids that she will feel strong again and she'll get better. And as quick as it was, she said, "No, I knew that wouldn't happen because that's what happened to Bob." And which is her husband who had passed away, because obviously that blackness on her hand is a sign of one of the major organs having failed.
Yeah.
her
So
legs
yeah,
had been bad for a while, you could see,
yeah,
but then that's the whole down to the whole walking thing. But it was her hands when I saw that picture, and then because she wore something up quite up near her neck, and she doesn't do that so very often. She'd had something up quite high, so it was obviously, you could see it here as well.
yeah.
And I suppose if you think about it like that, because I saw that and thought, oh, okay, there's something going on. You know, if she had been out somewhere, she would have had on a dress, a hat, and her gloves.
Yeah.
But she was inside Balmoral. She could not be wearing the gloves then. So she had to then show her hands. And yeah, I mean, I think what I would say to those haters out there, like I said, you don't have to be a royalist in the slightest, but actually somebody's mum has died.
Mm.
Somebody's grandma has died. Somebody's great grandma has died. You know, their cousins have lost somebody, and the aunts and uncles have lost somebody. Somebody's mum has died. So be respectful. You don't have to like them.
Interesting that you should say that, because what exactly? I'm just being a little bit of a devil here, seeing as I've had my head buried in a lot of these things the past couple of days. What precisely does that mean? Because I think being respectful is very. I know. Okay, I'm going to wear my British hat, obviously, and we have a standard. And I remember what my dad used to tell me and stuff like that. But it's all relative and it's different for different people. And I've seen some things where people have come out openly and said they're not particularly bothered for various reasons, but they've not been obnoxious or anything there. They've just said, right, actually, they're not particularly bothered because A, B, and C. And then there have been other people who have been what I would consider to be just downright rude. But then when I apply that same token, I think to myself, well, why are they rude? They're just saying their opinion. I don't have to agree with it. And I'm of the mind, if I don't like something, good thing about technology is that, boom, you just scroll past it, which is what I generally tend to do. But I do think that a lot of people do have very valid reasons for not being bothered, because that's how they feel, and it's generational. They are still living those trauma. Whether they're going to be discerning enough to know that it's not actually this 96-year-old grandmother that actually physically went and did A, B, and C, is different.
And that's fine. That is fine. And that is, and like I said, I don't take away anybody else's feelings about it, because everybody has their own, and that is all fine. Do you need to shout out and call Andrew, I think they called him a paedophile, but I'm not quite sure, when he's marching behind his mum's coffin?
Yeah.
Save that till 2 weeks' time, because actually he's behind his mum's coffin. Okay? Put it all over Facebook. We can swipe past it. That's fine. You don't. I think for me, I just kind of look and think, my mum passed 5 years ago. I lost my mum. I know what that feels like. Mm-hmm. My children lost their gran. They know what that feels like. Those people there, they are grieving, and they have to do it very publicly because, they're royals. If they weren't, it'd be behind closed doors. But they have lost somebody. So do you need to still be picking at Meghan and Harry? No, you don't. Just let them bury their grandmother.
Anyway.
Let them bury their grandmother.
Yeah, I think that is going to happen. But it's funny that way you talk about grieving, because I'm not... Okay, right now we're in the mix of it, but there was a speech that Prince Charles gave a few weeks ago. I think he did actually do it on behalf of his mum. And he spoke, and then he just referred to her, Mummy. The way he just said it, and I'm like, oh my God.
He does occasionally, he does that.
Yeah. And then I just thought, okay, yeah, fair enough, fair dues, because and I didn't look at there because I just think to myself, it's
She didn't choose to be queen. That came to her by default.
Yeah,
That was not how they were bringing her up.
I
No.
understand
Well,
on
she
that,
wasn't.
but I'm one of
Well,
those. I don't really care about that. That's, you know, she didn't choose it, but she took it, and fair dues, she's female, longest serving. Whenever, I don't think the world is ever going to see anyone like that again.
No.
It's just,
But she wasn't born as a queen.
no.
She wasn't born as a prince. She wasn't born anywhere near in line to the throne.
No.
But it's
It was because
where she was born and how she got there, from my limited understanding. Obviously, the person who was supposed to be, who abdicated to go and be with the love of his life, you know, he made that difficult choice, and I put the emphasis on the word choice there.
Yeah.
And you know, good for him or her or however it
Which
was.
is fine. Again, so he made that choice, and that was a very brave choice for him to make. But what then happened was his brother didn't have a choice. His brother was then just given that role, and could he then have done the same thing? Most probably not. I don't even know who else there was. My history isn't good, so I don't know who else there was who could then have stepped in. But ultimately, her father didn't have a choice. Her uncle had a choice, and he made that choice. But her father didn't have a choice. He then stepped in. And then, what was she, 25?
Yeah.
She then had to step in.
Hmm.
You know, and she said that she was going to do this for the rest of her days, and she did.
Yeah, no, on that level, in terms, you know, she said she could and she did, absolutely 100%. But in terms of choices and things like that, I think that was, that for me personally, you might call me hard and horrible, but that was still a choice that she made. And it's just this little thing. I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and I think for me, what would have swung it? Yes, fair enough. I know that they're royal and that they're effectively figureheads, but we always say, oh, well, you can't have your cake and eat it. So obviously, with people and all the people from the Commonwealth and all the other previously colonized words, etc., were her subjects. So for me personally, I still think that at some point she could have waved her finger at her government and look, I do not like what you're behind closed doors, obviously, which, you know, like I said,
she did a lot of that. She did a lot of making her points to the politicians and things. Obviously, she couldn't then guide them what they should.
oh yeah,
or
no,
shouldn't
I
do.
understand that,
And
but
I think Charles will be more so of that because he's been told off for doing that.
oh yeah,
As
exactly.
as the Prince of Wales, he has actually come and made political statements and things, and his mother has told him off for it.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Yeah.
well, perhaps she shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is difficult, but I think it's just those things where I just think it's such a fine line between, you know, looking at somebody, how you see them, what you feel they represent, and what it actually is, you know, how you perceive it, how you perceive them. And when I sort of look on balance, a lot of the things that ordinarily speaking, like I said, I would ordinarily troll past, but because a lot of this thing is all roots in history. I mean, somebody the other day actually went and dug out Nigeria's old flag. So our old flag was completely different. So it did have the Union Jack in the corner. And it had this, I think we've got like a Commissioner of Arms thing in the middle. And I'm sure the background of it was blue or red. It was just really different. I'm like, oh, you know, so there's all of those things there where I just think, oh, okay, maybe. But from a female perspective, absolutely, 100%. So, but it's
And not something that we're going to see for a very long time.
Well, yeah, I was saying the other day, I feel, regardless of what my politics and things are, I still think being the age I am, actually, that we're quite blessed because we're going to see King Charles.
the 3rd.
Hopefully, I mean, obviously, I'm not really looking at anything beyond that. I'm not counting years or anything for anybody. But the point I'm making is that in that 70 years that Her Majesty was the Queen, people were born and they didn't necessarily live a long life, and they knew her as Queen, or they were born, they married, they got divorced, things happened, travesties happened, or good things happened, and that was all they knew. But in our generation, we're just getting to see everything. There's not going to be that much phenomenal change in one generation going forward, I do not think. But who am I to know that?
So have you got Monday off? Have they given you a bank holiday?
Interestingly enough, right? That is so funny you should ask that. So I was in the office on Friday, and a lot of these youngsters were like, yeah, we're going to have a bank holiday. And the lady there, the head of operations, she goes, well, it's a period of mourning. We're not obliged to give you the day off, right? Which was fine. It was quite correct in that sense, in that moment. So come Saturday morning, uncharacteristically for me, I'm standing there staring at my iPad, watching the announcements, the pronouncement of the proclamation, and then she goes, oh, and are you going to give permission for it to be a bank holiday on the day of the state funeral? And he goes, approved. I'm like, yes! And I just thought that was really funny. I was going to mention and said, oh, well, you've been told now. But yeah, I don't know. They haven't said not, but I would imagine that we will, because it's a bank holiday, and most of the people that we're dealing with will not be available anyway.
Yeah, because with customer care kind of settings, and like with shops, it's you're supposed to be open all the time now. I mean, God forbid if a shop ever closed down for one day. But when I worked in call centres and things, so when I was working for what was NTL, about Christmas Day, Boxing Day, we were still open. We were still supposed to take those customer calls, even though you couldn't really do anything because your engineers weren't there. So what was the point? My husband now works for a white goods manufacturer, and they've said yes. But then they had a thought, because they actually then deal with Southern Ireland as well as Northern Ireland. The Southern Ireland engineers would still be working because Queen's not their Queen.
Yeah.
They won't have a bank holiday. So I think their engineers will just have to put up with it, because no one of them be in they're going to be in the office.
I think my work has been shift work for years and years and years and years. So there might be a bank holiday, but I think I'm most probably still going to be working. But I, at some point, hopefully, will be able to tune in and see what's going on. I like a bit of pomp and ceremony, so that will interest me.
Really? Yeah, I think I did that. I did that with well, number one, my father, may he rest in peace, made us siblings, the few of us that were in the flat with him at the time, sit through Charles and Diana's wedding, which we had absolutely no interest in whatsoever. But we had to sit down and watch it, because the sooner that you ran away and sat somewhere else, they would be calling you. Obviously, well, it's not obvious. I did watch Charles and I beg your pardon, Princess Diana's funeral. But this one, I don't know. I think this one is actually kind of sad. I don't know.
For Princess Dies, I watched it, and then I actually went up because she went along the M1 to Northampton. So myself and my cousin, we then went on the M1 and watched as they went past. Yeah, there's too many crowds in London for me. I can't do the amount of people. Otherwise, I would have gone down.
Yeah.
But it's too many, and I don't, health-wise, I don't think I can stand for that length of time.
Yeah.
But yes, because her cars were going up to Northampton, there was numerous people lining the M1.
Yeah.
I was 7 months pregnant, and went over the field, over the fence, onto the M1. Yeah, I know.
I probably saw the spectre. I didn't know that one day I was going to be sat on a radio show talking with you.
So ultimately, if they were driving her from Scotland to London, I would be on that motorway and I would go and have a
Oh no!
But
I think those days are gone. Yeah. I think the only other thing I was going to mention, the way you were talking about memories, is that I did go to. There was a concert that was held, and I can't remember what it was for, but it was part of some big celebration, and it was in the Royal Albert Hall with the Queen and Nelson Mandela.
Oh, okay.
And it was such an amazing show because they did a fusion. It was like a merge, of the two different cultures. And it was just so funny because, like you said, the Queen is the Queen. She's going to do what she's going to do. It's a bit like nature. Boom. But Nelson Mandela, he was there giving it all of this and that. Giving it all of this and that. And I do remember us, we were outside there. This was the days when you were still mad and you still drove to funny places. And I remember waiting for them to bring the car around. And of course, these cars come whizzing out. And I'm like, oh my God, look, there they're going. And I'm running after the car. And I remember my friend saying, what's wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you? Why are you running after these cars? They are just human beings like us. And I'm like, in the moment, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But like now I'm like, yeah, that's the truth of the matter. So no, I wouldn't be doing any of that anymore. But that was a good concert.
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone's kind of like got stories of when they've seen the Queen and everything else, and it's moving forward from now. There are the changes that are then being made through some of the ones that are underneath the Commonwealth that are deciding whether or not they carry on being in the Commonwealth. I think there was talks beforehand, but now it's finally happened that Charles is now like the head of the Commonwealth. Whether they're going to step back from that. So just as you said like, about the Nigerian things, and it's like what they're actually going to be, doing, and how things change. But we've got a whole year now. I mean, we've got until Monday for the funeral, but we've then got pretty much the whole year until we have the next lot of pomp and circumstance and what this next year kind of feels like and how things change again until he's
come and see the impact of Brexit before they think about doing anything rash. That's my personal opinion.
Well, yeah, it's then something. Then the crown and state is then like completely separate from one of the politicians. Will be politicians. They wouldn't.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's just that thing you said, isn't it? That sometimes it kind of suggests that maybe some nations are holding on because they had this affection for the Queen, which doesn't extend to others, as we have seen of recent times, and then they think, oh well, actually, maybe now's the time. Yeah,
maybe it is, and what I'm thinking is if they decide to then make that change and pull away, that actually leaves our King Charles to do other things, which might be the things that he likes to do as well. He's not going to have such this huge Commonwealth that he needs to be a part of, because how many years ago were they laughing at him when he's talking about the trees and the climate and all of this lot? It was all a big joke. Actually, now look where we are.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
I think that however long he's there, I think he'll do well.
Yeah.
I think he will hold it because he's been in training for a number of years, hasn't he?
Like 70 years.
Yeah, the longest that anyone has had as a monarch in waiting.
Yeah.
And the most recently, as of the last 3 years, I'd say, that it's been taking on more and more roles. Yeah. And don't forget, he decided to come up with like the Prince's Trust,
and
things off his own bat.
Yeah.
He did that himself, set that up by himself. So he has got a lot of things that he had set up, and now he has no control over because he is the king. He
Yeah.
had to relinquish quite a lot to do with like the Duchy of Cornwall, and all those kind of businesses and things that he had to set up to self-fund himself, because I personally think, rightly so, that we couldn't just support the whole of the royal family. So he had all these business and things to actually then like to keep him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it is a whole year of people moving houses, banknotes, passports, and mourning
Yeah.
until you actually then
I
get to
would
the point of
imagine.
the crowning.
Yeah, I would imagine that those presses and things are already made.
The money's not necessarily made.
No, not the money, but I meant the press, the actual press that they will use to make
Yes,
it, or whatever
yeah,
they make it.
yeah.
All of those bits will be
Yeah.
ready, and yeah, it's just a matter of when they give the thing to go ahead.
Yeah, because everything's all been planned, hasn't it? You know, they have to have all of that in place, ready. So, yeah.
I think that's what's thrown quite a lot of the official establishment as well. That you say about loads of things have been planned and things. The Queen's funeral would have been planned, but not the fact that she was in Scotland.
Yeah.
So we've had this extra bit of ceremony of her coming from Balmoral to Holyrood to stand there for a while and then come back to London. It's all that extra bit that there was could have never have planned for. They perhaps could have possibly had thought of, but yeah.
Anyway.
It's been a bit quiet on the comments.
It is today. It's very quiet. Lovely Lou's there, so that's fine. But yeah, it's been very quiet. Maybe for two reasons. Maybe people are pondering, they're thinking about it. Maybe there's others who literally want to say it's a load of rubbish and they shouldn't even be there, but they daren't put it in the comments. Yeah. You know, so maybe
I suppose because obviously it's on Facebook, isn't it? I think if we had a Twitter account and we were live on not Twitter, I beg your pardon, TikTok, it would be a whole different ball game. Because you can actually literally really be yourself on there. It's not like a copy of your little real world. That could be the case, but you know, like you said, somebody's now.
But at the end of the day, we've said right from day one of starting this, it's about real. It's real talk. It is, you come and say exactly how you feel, and we have got no problems with that at all. So if somebody wants to say that, they, you know, quite able to say that, but they've missed their chance now.
I wonder what's going to happen to these handbags.
Sorry?
Oh yeah, I did think about that, because when you see Camilla now, she always has a clutch bag.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking at one stage you're going to need to. Your hands are not going to be able to hold a clutch bag. I know you sort of love a certain age. You do need those little bags, and those little bags cost a lot of money that the Queen has. So there's going to be all these bags there, because you would have one in every colour.
Yeah. Some of them will go into museums, I would presume. I don't know what they're going to do the rest of them. Maybe that's also what they do over that next year.
Yeah.
Is, I don't know, make those changes, put them somewhere. Don't know. Yeah.
There's a lot of them, and they are really expensive.
Yeah. And they're all made to measure as well for her. So maybe, you know, maybe they're not even, you can't even give them to somebody else to use, because actually they're made for how
her arm is, and her height.
Yeah. So this is what we've been talking about today. We have been talking about Queen Elizabeth II and her passing last Thursday, and obviously her funeral is going to be on Monday. If you're watching it on catch up later on, put your comments on. We'll welcome any comments at all.
Yeah, don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Just tell us what you think. But yes, we just thought that that's what we needed to do. We wanted to do, not necessarily needed. We wanted to do it today. So,
and if you're thinking of watching on Monday and you don't want to be on your own on Monday, this is one of the things that I then sort of, my mum is going to be watching, I think, with her friends, like all together, because she is part of the Trefoil Guilds. We do make our promise to the Queen. So I think there's a few of them that are getting together from what I kind of understood. But if there's anyone out there that's then watching that they don't want to be on their own, perhaps if you then put a comment on here, put a comment somewhere, we might perhaps then might be able to connect people up, and
yeah,
even if you're watching it online or you're texting someone at the same time, kind of thing. Because I've got a feeling a few people will then end up, because it's a funeral on a screen, you then might be more upset than you expect to be.
Yeah,
exactly. Because timing is everything. Because obviously it was really strange thinking about it as you say that. The day before, I'd done a Facebook Live in honor of my late mum because she would have been 80. And then the next day, the Queen passed, and I just thought, ooh. So timing, is the point. When you're by yourself, you can start thinking about things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, righty-ho.
And I didn't even get to talk about when I went to the palace.
There's a lot to unpack, as I kind of thought there would be.
I think Cecile has frozen.
Oh, yeah, she has, hasn't she?
She has frozen, hasn't she? Should we leave her frozen?
Oh, my days. That is really
if anyone needs any help or anything, message into the page, comment on here, we'll be able to connect up. But she's now gone. So we'll say goodbye for now. And
right, hang on, let me just put this down so I can do my wave.
do
Bye.
Bye.
See you all again next time. Thank you for watching. It has been fun.